Welcome to our program. I'm Tracy Willits and I lead communications for Pivot Bio. And thank you for joining us as we kick off the 2021 season for Pivot Bio Proven, a microbe that applies nitrogen to your corn crop throughout the growing season. We have a full program ahead of us with a fantastic lineup of speakers that will cover topics ranging from Pivot Bio's 2019 performance in grower and university trials. You'll hear from corn growers who are using Pivot Bio Proven right now on their operations and how their acres are looking. We also have farm broadcaster Max Armstrong, who will share his perspectives on the state of agriculture. I hope you all can stay for the last 30 minutes of our program, which will feature 2 breakouts, and you can choose which Q&A breakout session to attend. One is with Randy Dowdy, who is known for his record-breaking soybean yields, and he just happens to be using Pivot Bio Proven on his corn acres this year. The second breakout features Pivot Bio experts who are ready to field your questions about Pivot Bio Proven, the first nitrogen-producing microbe for corn. Now, I'd like to turn it over to CEO and co-founder of Pivot Bio, Karsten Temme. Karsten?
Hi there. Thank you, Tracy, and a big heartfelt thank you to everybody joining us today. For everybody who is an existing customer of ours, my sincerest thanks for putting your trust in us as a more consistent and dependable source of nitrogen for your crop. Thank you to everybody who is helping us spread the word about Pivot Bio Proven, helping add our product to what you sell today. I hope we can empower you to bring a new line of crop nutrition to your closest colleagues. And I'm inspired every day by the teammates that I get a chance to work with. I'm inspired to be able to think about how we can be more productive, how we can be more profitable on every farm, and do it in a way that renews our natural resources. Because for me, almost 10 years ago to the day, I was walking with my co-founder, Alvin Tamsier, from our research lab to the coffee shop. And we stopped one moment and we said, you know, we've been working on this problem of nitrogen fixation, understanding how microbes are wired to breathe in the air and turn that nitrogen gas into ammonia. And our PhD has led to a moment in time where scientists now understand the complete blueprint on how microbes are capable of doing that. And we're in a position that we have almost a responsibility to carry this forward and build products from that blueprint. And if we don't do it, it's going to be at least a decade before anybody else is able to pick up the banner and carry that forward. And that moment led us to found Pivot. So across the last decade, we've been on a mission to be able to build the next innovations in crop nutrition. And it gives me great pride to look at Pivot Bio Proven and what we are able to bring to the world today. And with your help, I'm excited about our future. As you've seen in some of our materials supporting today's event, we really believe that what we have is the foundation of the future of crop nutrition, that we really set our sights on the stars, and the anchor, the launch pad for that future is Pivot Bio Proven. So I'm excited for the conversations we can have today. Excited to welcome a number of great participants to join me in bringing that message and that information to you. And I look forward to being able to join everybody in some breakout sessions later. So Tracy, how about I pass the ball back to you and let's get underway.
Great. Thank you, Karsten, for that message. We're glad you could join us tonight. Before we hear about the highlights from our 2019 on-farm trials and the results of university studies from Ernie Sanders, our product development lead at Pivot Bio, let's watch a short video that explains how our product works.
Pivot Bio has introduced a new microbial product called Pivot Bio Proven that captures nitrogen from the air, converts it to a form corn can use, and then applies this nutrient directly to the corn plant daily. This new product consists of nitrogen-producing microbes that are applied during planting. Once the seeds and microbes are together in the ground, The roots have immediate access to the pivot as the seed germinates and the roots reach out into the soil. The microbes adhere to the root structure, capture nitrogen gas from the air, convert it to ammonia, and feed it directly to the corn roots. Pivot Bio-proven microbes are not washed away by weather events, nor do they volatilize into the air, which makes them a reliable nitrogen alternative to maximize yield potential, leading to less dependence on synthetic nitrogen.
Pivot Bio-proven is our first product that produces nitrogen and is commercially available for corn. And I would like to share with you today a lot of the results around it and some more information around this exciting new product. So as you can tell from this graph that's here behind me, nitrogen is in high demand by the corn plant during a certain time frame and the window of that corn that's growing. Our microbe is taking nitrogen out of the air, making ammonia, and feeding it to that corn plant as it's growing in this critical window. So if there is rainfall, if there is stress, if there is drought, if there are issues, then our microbe is still there, it's still working, and it's spoon feeding nitrogen to that corn plant on a daily basis. We've gotten years worth of Pivot Bio research. We've gotten years worth of on-farm research. And I want to share with you today some more of the research that we're doing with independent universities and some other independent data. As you can see in this slide, we were working with some of the best universities that are land-grant universities in the US that are in agriculture. And of those universities, we clearly show 6 bushel an acre increase and a nearly 90% win rate of our product when compared to synthetic nitrogen. And as I described earlier for you, we have an impact on that corn plant earlier than just yield, because yield is a late season, very complicated equation. And this slide shows you clearly that we have plant biomass increases. We have a whole leaf ahead from stages. We have darker green color. We have healthier plants. And this is really important because it sets up a lot of what comes later for that corn plant. Even if you enter a stress, if you enter that stress healthier, you're going to exit that stress healthier. And we have a really healthy plant going into the later stages of development. This is one of my favorite slides we ever make, because this slide clearly shows that our mode of action works, that we are putting more nitrogen, we're making ammonia, we're feeding it to the corn plant, and we're getting that more nitrogen in the plant. Our team harvested entire corn plants, had them sent off for analysis, and when you look at the total number of pounds on a per acre basis, Pivot Bio-proven is putting more nitrogen in the plant than a synthetic comparison. When you do this, you're setting up that yield advantage that we're talking about, because regardless of the amount of synthetic you apply, the amount that gets in is going to help you from a yield standpoint. We're also looking at our intent to pivot trials. And intent to pivot trials are on-farm trialing program with the intent team. These are 20-acre blocks of treated and non-treated. And these are big blocks that are in a farmer's growing system on their farm, in their soil type. So we are now looking at how does this work in farmer practice? And this mirrors the Pivot Bio research results. This mirrors the university research results with different soil types and different weather. We're still seeing that almost 6 bushel an acre increase and a significant head-to-head win rate with this product. So we're excited about the performance that we've seen. We're excited about this product, and we look forward to what we're doing next with it. What I'd like to share with you in this one is one last look at this grower was putting down a side dress, but he got rained out. It got rain delayed. So he couldn't get in to get that side dress in. And if you can see, the Pivot Bio product was providing that nitrogen, allowing that crop to survive the stress, get that nitrogen in when it needed it, versus when it had the rain delay and the non-Pivot Bio treated was a little bit nitrogen starved. And you can see a visual difference to the row in where this crop was observed during this course of the year. So I guess in conclusion, I'd like for you to know that Pivot Bio-proven has been working for several years now. We've been commercial for 3 years. We've been working with some great universities and some independent research. And as for myself personally, I've been with Pivot Bio for 3 years. I've loved every minute of it. I have over 40 years in the ag industry. This technology, this product is groundbreaking and will change the nutrient industry in agriculture. And I can't wait to be part of that and see where we go next. Thank you.
Thank you, Ernie. I never tire of hearing about those results, and I know we are all looking forward to the opportunity to share the 2020 data this winter. Now, I am pleased to have joined me Andrew McCrae. Andrew is a farmer from Northwest Missouri who is using Pivot Bio Proven on his operation. Before we get into the plots that you have with Pivot Bio Proven, Andrew, tell us a little bit about your farm.
So we farm in Northwest Missouri. We're about an hour north of Kansas City, just under 5,000 acres in the total farm. The farm's been there for 110 years, so we're a century farm in Missouri. And of those acres, we're split about half and half between crops and livestock. We have a stocker cattle operation, but on the crop side, split between corn and soybeans.
That's great. Before we get into the Pivot Bio Proven plots, tell us just a little bit more about your operation. Did it come through your father, your grandfather? And what about employees? How's it run?
Sure. So I'm now the fifth generation. My great-great-grandfather immigrated from Italy and began that farm 110 years ago. And so I still farm with my father. He's still very active. In fact, my grandfather lived to be 98, and at 95, he was still on the farm driving tractors. So hopefully we've still got a lot of good years in us. Now the sixth generation's there on the farm, but we have a couple of full-time folks there, and I'm there almost full-time. I have some journalist roles and broadcasting roles that I do. But yeah, we've had a family farm now for over a century. Love being there.
Yeah, great. That's a great story, and so many others. Well, tell us about your experience with Pivot Bio Proven. What are you seeing?
Sure. Well, this is the first season, so I don't have harvest results yet. But, you know, when we went out there, and you just saw Ernie Sanders, of course. So Ernie was there about a month ago, and so we went out in the field. We did measurements and things. Certainly, you see visual differences. I mean, it's very obvious. You can measure the stalk height, the stalk circumference. One of the things that I thought was very interesting was the tillering. And the tillering is an example of how much nitrogen is there in that plant. And the tillering, it's easy to see that with that plot with Pivot Bio Proven, lots of tillering, over 50% tillering in that plot, whereas that without Pivot Bio Proven, barely any at all. So that's something that immediately caught my eye. And then firing, the firing of the plant, certainly where there was no Pivot Bio Proven, you have firing on that stalk. Where we have the Proven though, very little. So that plant is greener. You know that it's just continuing to put more into that corn. And so visually, I can see it. I'm excited to see the results here in about a month when we get the combine in there.
Yeah, us too. You are in a unique position, being a farmer and a journalist. So you have talked to other farmers who might be interested in Pivot Bio Proven or even using Pivot Bio Proven. Tell us about those conversations and what you're seeing in other fields.
Sure. So I've had the opportunity to interview several producers that have been using Pivot Bio Proven and already have those harvest results. So that's, you know, it's something to certainly we can sink our teeth into. I think as a farmer, when we go through that field, we always see the yield up there on our monitor. So yes, yield's important, but when it comes down to it, and what you hear those farmers say is return on investment. And that's so critical. If I'm going to do something, I need to make sure it makes sense financially, and it does. They not only see the harvest results, but they're seeing that it's a good financial investment. So that's very important. And it's causing us to rethink how we use our nitrogen too, because if I have a proven source of nitrogen, and I know that that's going to be there no matter what, no matter the weather, then I can begin to rethink what I'm going to do with a fall application or a top dress. Do I need nearly as much? That's where that return on the investment occurs, but it also gives me a proven source. And that's what you hear time and time again. I know I've got this much here, and that's so valuable.
Great. Well, you said earlier you're seeing greener plants, the tillering, some visual differences. How does that stack up to the stress perhaps you've seen in Northwest Missouri on your crop? What's your growing season been like?
You know, we are a little bit different than some areas. We've actually had a good growing season. We've had timely rains. Now, normally Northwest Missouri is not necessarily the garden spot, but this year we've had the timely rains. But that said, you can still see the difference. And I've noticed in the producers that I've talked to, they see that difference not only in the good years, but especially in the years that are more difficult because you've got that proven source of nitrogen there. So it becomes even visually more apparent, I believe, in those cases from the producers that I've talked to.
That's great. You've said that you use Pivot Bioproven mainly because the confidence that you have your corn is getting the nitrogen that it needs. What are maybe some of the other reasons that you're using Pivot Bioproven?
Well, I think that it's certainly going to cause us to rethink what we're doing on the front end. We have always used fall-applied anhydrous ammonia, and that can be a good source. But I would like to get away from that if I could. We're a totally no-till operation. And so even though putting anhydrous on now isn't quite as disturbing to the soil, I would still like to be able to get to the point where I didn't have to do that at all. And so Pivot Bioproven could help me do that. So that's one thing that, at least in our operation, being a no-till operation, is something very valuable to me. And I hear that from other producers. Obviously, it's going to depend on where they're farming. But in our area, that's very important because we've got some roll to our land. So keeping that soil in place is important. We don't need to be disturbing that soil any more than we need to.
Great. Well, sounds like you have a great operation, Andrew, and thank you for using Pivot Bioproven. You've certainly shared with us the predictability, the productivity, and the weatherproof nature of our product. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up is Max Armstrong, who was watched and heard by thousands of farmers, ranchers, and consumers across the U.S. He's here tonight to share with us his unique perspectives on the state of agriculture. Max, thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks, Tracy. I appreciate the opportunity to join you and share a few comments about the agriculture industry as I see it right now. There are some very interesting things happening here from the standpoint of what's happening in markets, and part of that has been brought on by some pain, to be honest with you. When we take a look at what's been happening with corn and soybean production, the expectation was earlier this year with a good planting season, a relatively good growing season, we would have very large crops of both corn and soybeans. We probably still will, but certainly some of the shine has come off of this globe over the past few weeks with a couple of things happening. I'm right here in the state of Iowa right now as I join you. And of course, the big derecho storm that swept across the state on August 10th had a very substantial impact on farms. It shoved down the corn stalks. Many of those corn stalks have already been taken out of the fields. The fields have been tilled. Others, those fields will be harvested. And then you combine that with the drought, the expanding drought that we're seeing over the Corn Belt now, including the state of Iowa, we're taking off some of the yield potential. That's been reflected recently, as a matter of fact, in corn and soybean prices. They have risen over the past few weeks. Of course, that's encouraging to the growers. We hate to see pain inflicted on any of our producers to get a rise in the markets, but that is what is happening. It'll be interesting to see. We get another government crop report in just a few days to show us what the crop size looks like now. But the reality is we probably won't know until January, after this crop basically has been harvested, just what damage has been done with the 1-2 punch of, first of all, that derecho storm, and then also the very dry conditions in some of the fields that have been lowering the yield prospects just over the past few days. So many good things are going on, though, at the same time. And somebody asked me the other day, what's happening with land values? The bottom line is farmland values, for all of the depressed prices we've had and the challenges in the farm economy, not just for 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 years. This has gone on for about 7 years now. The challenging ag economy, farmland values continue to be rather strong. It has nothing to do with urban development. It has nothing to do with people fleeing the cities, going to rural areas. It has everything to do, first of all, with extremely low interest rates, as you can imagine. That's a big plus for farmers who need to replace equipment or are looking to buy some land. The interest rates, of course, have provided a tremendous bargain for them. But at the same time, many of these growers realize when it comes to land, we're not making any more of it. So when there's the opportunity to expand the operation, especially when that next generation is coming along, and that older farmer, average age of that older farmer, of course, in the low 60s in this country, there's a big generational shift poised to take place. And that farmer knows that if that piece of ground next to his or her operation is going to come onto the market, if they want to set that next generation up, they have to provide a way for that land to be farmed in the future in that family. So it's farmers. Let there be no mistake about it. It's farmers driving the demand for farmland now and keeping farmland prices amazingly robust. There is also some outside investment. Even with the very strong equity markets here over the past few days, coming back from the depressed situation, of course, with the pandemic, you still have people looking at farmland as a part of their portfolio. Judges, doctors, industrialists look at this and say, let's balance this portfolio a little bit, especially in an election year with all of the uncertainty. We're not so sure what's going to happen to the equity markets. Let's put some land in there because over the long haul, it does well as an investment. The environmental challenges for agriculture are going to continue. There's no doubt about that. Some of the political process may affect that too. And farmers increasingly realize, first of all, they want to do the right thing. As I was on Mike Denton's farm just north of Princeton, Illinois, just a few weeks ago, visiting with Mike about what's going on, his usage of Pivot Bio Proven, I could see that number one, he's increasing his yield potential. He's excited about that. So are other growers with whom I visited. But they also realize that environmentally, they're doing the right thing for the land they farm. They want to take care of that land. It's where their families live. It's where the generation behind them will farm. So for all of the right reasons, farmers are embracing Pivot Bio Proven, not just to enhance the yield. Yeah, absolutely. That's a pocketbook issue. But at the same time, to care for the land, to care for the water resources where they farm and live. So the time is right, I really think, for the product. And as I hear farmers talk about it and had the opportunity to visit with many of the growers, and of course, Pivot Bio Proven, that's the thing that we think about. It's there, it's working, whether or not, and that tagline really is a powerful one, and I think it really does connect with producers. The nitrogen-producing microbes that stay put, whether or not. Thank you for the opportunity to join you. I certainly appreciate it.
Thank you, Max. Now we're going to go to Georgia farmer Randy Dowdy, who has achieved world record-setting soybean yields. But tonight we're here to talk about corn and what proven. Randy, please go ahead and start off by telling us what you're seeing in the field this year. What's your experience with Pivot Bio Proven?
Well, as everybody knows, I'm in a farm in South Georgia and North Florida, and we have CECs from 3 to 7 and organic matter less than 1%. And we can get plagued at any given time with hurricanes and tropical storms, and we get inundated with large amounts of rain. And this past Dan Poston came to me. I knew Dan from in his pioneer days, and we will be together on a breakout session later in this episode. But one of the things that Dan came to me, he said, Randy, you really need to try this product. Let's give it a shot. And I said, Dan, man, I've had a lot of biologicals come my way, and some of them have paid, some of them have not. I'm kind of skeptical. He says, well, just give it a shot. Well, he got his foot in the door a little easier than most because of our past experience and our quest to break, some soybean records in the past. And I trusted him, and that he would, if he was working for the company now, that he was a believer in it. I don't think he just does something with a paycheck. He has to believe in what he does. So we tried the product. We put it on some irrigated ground, and we did do a little bit on non-irrigated. And when we started harvesting the product, when we planted the product, Dan was going to make it down, and he was going to take the tissue samples, and he was going to take the stalk diameter samples that you saw earlier in this video. And he was going to do that on my farm, and due to COVID-19, he was not able to make it. So we just looked at the corn all year, and we got ready to harvest. And my employee, Nathan, he was harvesting the corn, and he picks up the phone. I said, well, how's the corn look? He says, man, this corn over here's better. And I said, what do you mean it's better? He says, man, I think it's 20 bushels. And I said, come on. I said, you can't see 20 bushels on the yield monitor. So I was pessimistically optimistic that we were going to see some things. But, I'm a guy that I got to see it. I got to see the data. So through Next Level, we had Randy Seaver take and actually run the numbers for us, analyze the data, and there was a 12 bushel response where we had put Pivot Bio. And I was shocked. I said, this can't be true. Check it again, Randy. Let me know. Are you sure? Are you sure that that's 12 bushels? He says, Randy, I'm very comfortable to say it's 12 bushels. He said, it is what it is. I said, well, you're exactly right. And we had 2 different varieties where we had tested it on, and we had a control beside it with 2 different varieties, and that yield worked in multiple hybrids. So that was pretty exciting. And the part that Max mentioned a moment ago about being sustainable, with our low organic matter and our lack of holding capacity, we're looking for an option to be able to take and, I like that catchphrase, you have nitrogen in the weather or not. That's pretty cool. Somebody was nifty in coming up with that. And, for us, we can get these 15-inch range. We had one 14-inch rain event. We had another 9-inch rain event on that farm. And we still were able to pull off some mid to high 200s on that farm on some sandy ground under our irrigation. So, a lot of our nutrients had to be washed out of the profile that late, but the nitrogen didn't seem to be the problem. So we're pretty excited. We're looking forward to trying this on more acres going forward. And anybody that knows me now, I want to know why it works. So I have challenged Dan Poston and Ernie to not just tell me, let me give you numbers and me explain that it worked, but I want to understand why it works. Because if I can understand why it works, now I have a chance to believe that, let's duplicate, let's understand that science behind where that yield comes from, and we think it's repeatable. So we're looking forward to it, Tracy. It's been a pleasant surprise to see that kind of yield response, and we're looking forward to being able to duplicate it going forward.
For sharing that information and your experience with Pivot BioProven. So it is so impressive to see 900 people with us this evening. We are grateful for your interest in Pivot Bio, and so pleased you are joining us tonight. To thank you for your time and attention, we're giving away Pivot BioProven prize packs, 15 of them. Each includes a Grizzly 50 cooler, a Grizzly tumbler, 4 koozies, and a Kershaw knife. And the 15 lucky winners are Mark from Indiana, Dave from Nebraska, Jason from South Dakota, Joe from Minnesota, Bill from Illinois, Tom in Iowa, David in Maryland, Greg in Missouri, Aaron from California, Trey from New York, Matt in Illinois, Shelby in Ohio, Michael in Kansas, and Eric in Minnesota, and last, Matthew in Wisconsin. I think I passed my abbreviation test for states tonight. We'll be reaching out to you soon so we can make sure that we can ship your prizes to you. Now, next on our program is Mark Reisinger, Pivot Bio's commercial lead. He's going to share with us information about our product and incentives for early purchasing commitments for 2021. Mark, please tell us more about the reasons that farmers should think about Pivot BioProven for 2021.
Thank you, Tracy. So first off, let me start by saying, for those of you that are currently customers of Pivot BioProven, thank you for your business. For those of you that have joined us just to learn more about the product, please stick with us because we're going to have 2 great Zoom conference sessions, one with Randy Dowdy, who you just heard from, and one of our PhD agronomists. Dan Poston will also be in the room. And then in the other virtual room, you'll have a panel of experts from Pivot Bio, including our CEO, Carson Teme, who you heard from at the beginning of the show. So please stick around to hear more about Pivot BioProven, the first product that delivers nitrogen to the corn plant on a daily basis. Whether it be biological or not, it's the first product that delivers nitrogen to the corn roots on a daily basis, which leads us to being a more predictable source of nitrogen. Now, when we talk about predictable, that microbe is embedded on the corn roots and it's delivering ammonia on a daily basis. When you deal with synthetic nitrogen, you place it in the soil at the beginning of the year. And from that point forward, it sits on a degradation curve. We all know that you're never going to have more nitrogen in the soil than the day you apply it, unless you're using Pivot BioProven, which then leads it to being more productive. Productive in the sense that we know that the topography and the soil types, there's lots of variation. Hydrology, it all affects nitrogen utilization by corn plants. We know that every field, there's significant variance. No field is made the same. But Pivot BioProven changes that by delivering the nitrogen directly to the corn plant, as opposed to, once again, placing it in the soil and hoping that that corn plant gets to it during the season. And finally, and you've heard us talk about this a lot, Pivot BioProven is weatherproof. In the sense that when you look at synthetic nitrogen and you get a big gully washer at the beginning of the season, you start to wonder where your nitrogen has gone. You know, in those light soils, it's hard to hold it. We all know this in the context of our CEC or how we look at nitrogen and how much nitrogen we put down on soil. Pivot Bioproven stays on the plant, which leads to the productivity and then ultimately that weatherproof nature. And all of that together leads to an improved ROI. But the ROI will be improved for the next 7 days because of the early season program that we're offering, which is for those that purchase Pivot Bioproven or sign up and book our product in the next 7 days, for every 520 acres you purchase, you'll get 40 acres free. Now this program only lasts for 7 days and then it goes away. We're not bringing the program back. So we really want people to book early. And we think this is a great incentive. It's going to provide you an opportunity to get to the lowest cost Pivot Bioproven you can get this season. So again, 520 acres creates an opportunity for 40 acres for free. Great opportunity, improved ROI. We're excited for you to try this product. Tracy?
Thank you, Mark. And what a great incentive over the next week for growers to get in and use Pivot Bioproven for 2021. You know what we failed to mention as we went through our program, we did have strong demand in 2019 and 2020. And we're very thankful to the customers and farmers who chose to use our product on their fields. And we are looking forward to working with so many more in 2021. Well, thank you for spending time with us this evening to learn more about Pivot Bio and our nitrogen-producing microbial product for corn, Pivot Bioproven. Next, we're headed into the breakout sessions. But before we do that, I want to remind you to go to pivotbio.com for more information about our product, how you can find a sales rep in your area so you can take advantage of for that incentive over the next 7 days, and hear from other growers who have used Pivot Bioproven. We have 2 breakout sessions planned for you tonight. One, as you've heard, is with Randy Dowdy. He's going to be joined by Randy Mitten, our strategic account manager, as well as Dan Poston, our director of agronomy, to answer your questions. Randy Dowdy will talk more about his experience with Pivot Bioproven. The other breakout is with Pivot Bio experts, Ernie Sanders, Mark Reisinger, Adam Holm, who's with us, and Karsten Temme. They can answer questions about our science, our microbe, and what it all means for you. But to go to the breakouts, there's a little bit of information I want you to pay attention to. This Zoom call will end, and you will need to close the Zoom window. You'll need to refresh your screen. That way you'll go back to the screen you used to first join our event. But remember to refresh it, it is important. If you don't see it, you can always go back to the confirmation email you received, which has the link to the event. Follow the prompts there to choose which breakout session you'd like to attend. Now, it's going to take us a few minutes to move into those breakouts, so don't leave us. We'll be with you very shortly, and thank you for joining us this evening, and have a good rest of your night.